You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Coming up, the Joplin City Council puts the issue of public safety back on the table in the wake of the failure to pass Proposition Public Safety.
And we meet a veteran who saddles up his motorcycle for a 15,000-mile trek to bring awareness to veterans' mental health issues.
And we're watching increasing thunderstorm chances later today, something that we definitely need. We'll talk about those storms and what they'll do to temperatures in the Skywatch Weather Center.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. We've got breaking news out of Memphis to start our newscast this morning. CBS affiliate in Memphis reports multiple people were shot overnight in a Memphis neighborhood. At least 7 people have received emergency room treatment for gunshot wounds. The hospital was put on lockdown as officers secured the area. Authorities discovered a bullet-riddled car parked outside the hospital. Just a few miles away, they also discovered an AR-15 style rifle. At this point, authorities have yet to determine if the 2 crime scenes are related. Again, this is a breaking story. We'll have more details as they become available. Joplin City Council members discussed the next steps for improving public safety. This comes after Proposition Public Safety fails to get a majority vote on August 2nd. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
The City of Joplin is focusing on improving public safety. The council members will discuss police officers' compensation, adding a central located fire station, and creating better staffing for public safety entities. Addressing public safety needs was the first presentation on the agenda. Council members are trying to develop another plan to improve public safety. This is the first meeting since the August 2nd election. Despite Proposition Public Safety failing to get a majority vote, many community members still want the city to improve public safety conditions.
Yes, they need pay increases and they need to be taken care of. But first they need to be taken care of by our city council and our city government.
Improving public safety isn't just about budgeting. City officials say they're trying to be more transparent to gain community trust.
I think we need transparency. We need to start from the top, not just with a proposition, not just with a Band-Aid over the issue. We need transparency. We need to take care of our public safety members. We need to do it where the whole community benefits from it.
Community members are urging the city to consider getting an unbiased audit to increase transparency to the public.
The only way they're really going to truly gain the trust is, and they're going to speak about an audit, I really think they need a forensic audit. I've spent the last week going through some of the accounts, and it's really unnerving, but that's something they're going to have to discuss and figure out.
Building a plan to improve Joplin public safety is an ongoing discussion between the city and the community members. Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Proposition Public Safety failed this month when more than 56% of voters rejected the plan to raise property taxes to pay for more police and fire funding. Sweltering summer heat is sweeping the nation, but it's a lot more bearable, even fun, if you're enduring it with a wind in your face on a roller coaster. Yup, go for it. Tuesday, that's today. National Roller Coaster Day. It's observed every year on August 16th. According to nationaldaycalendar.com, it was on that day in 1898 that Edwin Prescott patented the first vertical loop roller coaster. I see Chris over there. I see you shaking your head no.
So here's the deal. I had never, ever been on a roller coaster in my life. And then for our 1-year anniversary, the wife took me to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. It took me a solid half hour before she finally coaxed me onto a roller coaster. The first one was the Prowler. It was all right because it was pretty much fenced around it. I didn't feel so exposed and horrified. But then she coaxed me onto the Patriot. And that's the one where you just kind of dangle there. I got on that thing, took off my shoes, and as we're climbing up that ramp, I'm not going to lie, all right, I was in tears. I am terrified of heights, and that thing just kept going higher and higher and higher. And I'm telling her, I'm like, I need to get off of this. And she's like, you can't get off of it. We're already in motion. I'm like, you don't understand. I need to get off of this ride. And once we hit the top, I mean, I don't know what stopped me from having a heart attack. I was scared to, and granted, that's the whole point, but I was scared to death on that ride. I was mortified. The only advantage the Patriot had is because you dangle, it's got that thing that comes over you like this. I was locked onto it. I had a death grip on that thing because I was not coming off of that roller coaster. Here's the thing. I rode the Patriot 4 or 5 more times, and it scared the crap out of me every single time I rode it. Every one we rode terrified me. I mean, I was mortified on those roller coasters.
I love roller coasters. I don't do well on things that make you spin in circles, though. I get my equilibrium gets off and then I get nauseous. But other than that, I love roller coasters.
It was horrifying. It was absolutely horrifying. But yeah, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. It was terrifying. And she was
Probably
amused.
won't be going back, huh?
I don't know. Here's
You'll
the thing.
stick
I've
to
only
the
gotten
kiddie-
older since
Stick to
then.
the kiddie rides. There you go.
Even those can be a little bit scary, Tanya. I've watched them. They rattle a lot. So on this day, though, in weather history, back in 1777 during the Revolutionary War, this is a lot to read, but the Battle of Bennington was delayed a day by rain, and the rain delayed British reinforcements, so that actually allowed the Vermont militia to arrive in time, and then they enabled the Americans to score a victory twice, fighting 2 separate armies on 2 separate occasions. So, hey, the rain can be beneficial sometimes, and that's what we're going to get today. We might have a scattered, isolated storm this morning or even early this afternoon. Clouds will increase through the day, and then the potential for multiple rounds of storms will increase through Wednesday. Skywatch Storm Tracker, here's those scattered ones this morning I'm talking about, the isolated ones. This is the main system that's bringing us everything as we go through the day. Now, there's also the chance of a strong storm or two. If we see anything gets a little nasty, hail and wind are the primary threats. And, of course, Doug will track it through the day, and you can get the Skywatch weather app by scanning that QR code or by searching for it in your favorite app store. So, let's talk about current conditions right now. The sun is rising despite some cloud cover, and it is warm. 77 in Joplin, feeling like 78 ahead of this next storm system. Temperatures in the lower 70s to mid-70s as we start our day. And we're all going to get warm. We're talking highs near 100. Storm chances pick up by 5 and really move in tonight with a gusty south breeze. Breeze switches from the east. And then the thunderstorms just hang out with us all night long and into tomorrow morning with lows sticking around the upper 60s. We're going to talk more about the timing of these storms and how long they're going to last and what they'll do to tomorrow's temperatures a little bit later.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, up next, Kelsey Keeney from the SEK Humane Society is stopping by our studio with the return of a special friend.
And later, one company who makes COVID-19 vaccines also wants those vaccines to be used as boosters. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. In Health Watch this morning, more than a quarter of children hospitalized with COVID-19 have lingering symptoms for months. A new study Friday in the journal Pediatrics looked at 358 children affected by COVID-19 and a rare but dangerous complication of COVID-19 known as MIS-C. Now, researchers found that nearly 30% of those kids are still showing symptoms at least 2 months later. Most common symptoms were fatigue and shortness of breath. Children in the study were hospitalized between May 2020 to May of 2021. Before children were eligible to get vaccinated for COVID-19. One of the doctors who conducted the study said she hopes the data helps people see the importance of getting kids vaccinated. Food and Drug Administration recommends people take 3 at-home tests to confirm negative COVID-19 results. Thursday, the agency issued new safety guidelines for COVID-19 antigen tests. It said a negative COVID test should be followed by another one. The FDA says if the second test is also negative, but you still have concerns about the result, then take a third test 48 hours later. And the agency added that at that point, you can also consider getting molecular-based test through a lab or calling your healthcare provider. A company that makes COVID-19 vaccines wants those vaccines to be used as boosters too. Novavax already got emergency use authorization in July to be used as a 2-dose primary series for adults, and announced Monday it submitted an application to the FDA to allow a 3rd dose for people 18 and older who've already been fully vaccinated and are eligible to receive booster doses. Company CEO says based on the data, the company believes its vaccine offers a, quote, broad, long-lasting immune response against a range of variants. No word on when the FDA will consider Novavax's application. A Green Bay Packers superfan is selling his Packers party bus named the Big Cheese. The bus, with an asking price of $14,000, seats 14 people and has a bar, built-in cooler, and restroom. The owner, Jason Mercier, whose game day nickname is King of the North, describes it as a mobile man cave. He bought the bus last year from a pair of fans that used it for tailgating, and they used it for about a quarter of a century. Now, Mercier says he ran designated driver trips with the bus, taking fans from Michigan's Upper Peninsula to Green Bay for Packers games, and also drove it for events like bachelor parties. He's selling it now because he wants to focus on college money for his son in high school. All right, so we have the possibility of a strong storm or two later tonight. If we do see any, the biggest threat with those storms will be hail or gusty winds. And, of course, Doug will be tracking that through this evening as well, should any of them decide to get a little nasty. Right now at 7th and Rangeline, there's a lot of cloud cover, but the sun is rising, trying to peek through. It's a mild start to the day, 77, feeling like 78 with dew point and humidity up there in advance of the rain. You can see where the boundary is because places like Yates Center, Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton are in the lower 70s to start the day. But then you get down to the south and we're in the mid 70s to start the day. All of us getting in on the heat action a little later as temperatures will still rise to near 100 degrees. And then by about 5 o'clock, thunderstorm action really starts to pick up and then just builds as the night progresses with gusty south winds. The gusty winds hold on through the night, but the breeze will shift from the east. Thunderstorms increase throughout the night, keeping our temperatures in the upper 60s. That's not a typo. That's just what it looks like it's going to do. We're just going to kind of hang around. On the future track, I'm talking about the timing of these storms. We've got a few isolated storms this morning and into the afternoon, and then they'll become more widespread as we hit 5 o'clock. This evening, you can see more thunderstorms building across the area, and they'll only continue as the night goes on. At 11 o'clock, we're talking 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. By 6 a.m., another batch begins to develop out in southeast Kansas, and then it'll eventually push on through, giving us another good round of storms before they move out of here by about 11 or 12 o'clock tomorrow. Stray lingering shower could be possible. Everyone that's socked in with clouds, we're looking at highs pushing the upper 70s. Now, up north, if you get a little more sunshine, you're going to be a little closer to 80 degrees, but otherwise, not bad for the middle of August. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 when we come back.
Welcome back. We've got Kelsey Keeney in studio with us this morning from the SEK Humane Society, and we've brought back Montana. Montana's been here before.
Yes. Yeah, so he is still looking for his forever home. He is an 8-year-old Australian cattle dog mix. He does fine with other dogs. We just have to do a meet and greet first. And the only restriction for him is just no cats.
Okay. All right. Well, you said he does well with other dogs. What kind of things does he like to do with his
Yeah, so
like running or?
He really loves nature trails. So if you're a very active person, you love to go on runs, walks, he's definitely the guy for you. He does great with small children, so maybe a family that's active as well. Let's see.
Montana has a really cool name. And I notice a lot of the dogs that you guys bring in have really neat, fun names.
Yes.
How do you come up with the names for the dogs?
So it's really a fun game that us as staff kind of play. There's some days where we get a new cat in and we don't know what to name her. We have all these good ideas, and then we'll put a sticky note down for each one, and we toss them on the floor, and we actually let the kitten run up and decide what their name's going to be.
Did Montana already have his name before he came in, or?
Yes, he did. Yeah, so he responds really well to his name, so we just decided to keep it.
That's a good name, though, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, and how long have you guys had Montana as a resident?
We have had him for 2 years now.
Okay. Well, if you are interested in adopting Montana, you guys have some great news because adoption fees are much lower this month.
Oh yeah, so this month we are reducing our adoption fees from the $65 for large dogs down to $30. And then not this upcoming weekend, but the next, from the 26th to the 28th, all of our dog and cat adoption fees are completely waived. So all of them will have no adoption fee. They'll be sponsored.
Okay, that's awesome. And then you're going to have some more fun things going on site that weekend too.
Yeah, so that Saturday, the 27th, we will have Tropics on site with some ice cream and fun stuff like that from noon to 4.
Okay. Let's take a look at some of the other dogs that you guys have on site. I know we have some pictures.
Yes, so that is Alpine. She is a 2-year-old Basenji mix. She does fine with other dogs. She's very energetic, so no cats. But if you're looking for another runner for your family, she's definitely the girl for you.
Okay.
And Cooper, he is amazing. He is one of our longest tenants. As you can see, he loves water, he loves pools, hoses during the summer. He's a very laid back and he can be a chill guy, but he also has a lot of energy at first. So if you're also looking for someone to run with, to play with outside, he's the guy for you, and then he'll just kind of snuggle with you in bed afterwards.
Okay. Does he do well with cats too, or?
He is definitely no cats.
Definitely no cats?
Yes.
Okay. I know when we adopted our dogs back in the day from the shelter, like the first dog that I got, we discovered very quickly could not be around cats.
Oh yeah.
And so then we ended up getting another one where that was a stipulation. He couldn't be around cats either. So I'm like, well, we can't have cats. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Worked out. So if you have a home where that's already a situation, maybe your dog needs a playmate that also has the same kind of circumstance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you have a dog but you're interested in adopting another dog, is there a way to, I know you can like check out a dog for a day or do the fostering possibly, just to see how well they get together?
So if you already have a dog or maybe a couple of your own and you want to get another one, we would suggest doing meet and greets. So we would have to schedule that. And then you just bring your dog out and then we'll have them meet the shelter dog you're interested in and we see how they do together first before sending them home with you.
Okay. Yeah, you want to make sure they're a perfect fit for your family too.
Oh yeah.
Everyone in your family, not just the humans. All right. And some of the other dogs that I don't think you have pictures of yet, but we were talking earlier this morning about some beagles that just came in a couple weeks ago.
Yes, so it started with a case of 4,000 beagles at an Envigo lab in Virginia. They did testing, they were the breeding facility, and then they were to be sold to be tested on. We got 8 of the beagles. We have 4 puppies, all females, and then 4 adults, 2 males, 2 females. And the ones that we got, they were not actively tested on. They were just used at the breeding site.
Okay. But I mean, that was 4,000 dogs that were taken to,
yeah.
Like, how did you guys become a part and receive those?
Yes, so the Department of Justice and the United States Humane Society actually worked on this case. And with our partner with the United States Humane Society, they reached out to us trying to find homes for all of these beagles. Typically, if they were larger dogs like labs, we wouldn't have the room just because we're at max capacity with large ones. But since they were beagles and they were small, we had enough space in our puppy room to have the small ones.
And you probably could have taken more if you weren't at capacity in general, though. So
yeah,
and that's a problem we need to fix.
Oh yeah.
So yes, definitely. If you are looking to adopt a dog, let's talk about real quickly before we go to break. What are your hours when you're open and how you go about that?
So right now we're open on Saturdays noon to 4 and then Sundays 1 to 4. And then during the week we're by appointment only. So it's just as easy as messaging us on Facebook or giving us a call to set up an appointment.
Okay, that sounds good. And come check them out. If not this weekend, then next weekend when the adoption fees are all waived too.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll see if we can't get you a home this time around, Montana. We'll be right back. It's time to honor today's 4th state hero, Corporal John Foster. The native of Irwin, Missouri, served in France from 1942 to 1945 as a technician 5th grade for the 247th Infantry Division. This decorated veteran also earned the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. To Corporal John Foster, we thank you, today's 4th state hero. A North Carolina veteran has finished a 15,000-mile motorcycle ride across the U.S. for Veterans Mental Health Awareness.
Now, the nearly 3-month trip covered 48 states.
And Nick Joseph was there for his return to Williamton on Sunday.
Harry Steed welcomed home by his family of bikers.
It's been a long ride, and I've missed her face.
Reunited with his wife Liz and kids after more than 3 months on the road.
I feel very relieved and proud and happy and like all the emotions.
Perry says 50% of veterans are more likely to die from suicide, the same fate his brother-in-arms, Sergeant Christopher Cool, faced.
Have the resources within me to make this trip to go get the ashes.
A promise he made to Cool's parents back in 2012. Steed left in May, traveling 48 states, more than 15,000 miles to Minnesota, connecting with soldiers along his journey. But while preparing for the trip, he got a request from specialist David Howard's family.
There's one in California that just asked me if I could bring his brother's ashes back as well.
Back to North Carolina to spread at the Sicily drop zone at Fort Bragg. Perry's uncle, Randy James, escorted him home from Greensboro.
I'm proud of what he did for to bring awareness to suicide prevention for the military.
Something that needs to be continually addressed.
Perry says anxiety and depression shared among veterans is their reality.
Renew those friendships that have been put on the back burner for so long. The friendship never goes away.
Steed started his own nonprofit, Operation Purpose, designed to help other veterans with mental illness.
When you can actually listen to someone talk and see yourself through their lens, you realize, it's not that bad.
Perry says there are already counselors lined up to donate their time to the cause. In Wilmington, Nick Joseph reporting.
Well, Perry is currently resting at his home in North Carolina, but plans to take the ashes to be spread at Fort Bragg in the coming weeks.
An impressive story and an impressive ride.
Yeah, that is impressive. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, a warning to parents getting ready to pack a popular kids' drink in their children's lunchbox as they head back to school.
And we'll meet brothers who lost their parents and grandparents in the community who came out to put a roof over their heads. You don't want to miss that story. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Four States' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. We're following breaking news out of Memphis this morning. WREG, the CBS affiliate in Memphis, reports multiple people were shot overnight in a Memphis neighborhood. At least 7 people have received ER treatment for gunshot wounds. The hospital was put on lockdown as officers secured the area. Authorities discovered a bullet-riddled car parked outside the hospital, and just a few miles away they also discovered an AR-15 style rifle. At this point, authorities have yet to determine if the 2 crime scenes are related. Again, this is a breaking story, and we'll have more details as they become available. In southeast Missouri, 1 person died Monday morning after a house exploded in the town of Wyatt. The initial explosion caused a second home to catch fire. Investigators say 10 people were hurt, including an infant. They have not released any details on the person who died. The explosion may have been caused by a faulty water heater, but authorities are still investigating the cause. Mcdonald County school officials focus on safety during a back-to-school event. Yesterday was the first day for teachers, so they received training on new security procedures. They met the district's 2 new resource officers and went through active shooter training. The district also looked to add new cameras in all buildings, keyless entry devices on exterior doors, signage, and new fencing in certain areas.
Here in McDonald County, we have hired 2 new school resource officers, safety officers, that will be serving different areas of our district. Our district is very spread out, and so we're going to have one that serves one area and one that serves the other, as well as the 2 existing ones that we have now.
School in McDonald County starts in 1 week on August 22nd. Some kids in Pittsburgh got a chance to look their best ahead of the coming school year. On Monday, the Victory Life Church hosted a back-to-school event at Kittyland in Lincoln Park and at the Lincoln Center, where the event featured free haircuts, backpacks, and school supplies. Other activities included dunk-a-cop, face painting, and bucket truck rides.
What makes it work is we don't have any strings attached. It's just simply we try to take the community, we love them, business support. We don't have any strings, and people know it and they appreciate it.
The event was for students in pre-K through high school. Well, humans aren't the only ones who enjoy swimming. Dogs were invited out on Monday to the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center for the last day the water park was open for the season. Dogs were also able to socialize with each other, just like humans do at the pool.
Well, I think it brings the community together, at least some of us. Last year we had a bigger group, but it's always fun, you know, to see everybody come together and grow as a community in the middle of, you know, this chaos that we have.
Doggy Swim Day is an annual event in Pittsburgh. Wish I could get my dogs to not be afraid of water. Well, dispatchers thought someone was up to monkey business when an emergency call was disconnected Saturday night. The San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office tried calling and texting the number back with no response. After tracing the call, deputies were sent to the Zoo to You in Paso Robles, California, to investigate. Officers talked with zookeepers only to discover the call was made from a zoo cell phone often kept in one of the facility's golf carts. And the mystery caller? Capuchin monkey. Root, that's his name. He was seen playing around with the phone and pushing buttons. Experts often describe capuchin monkeys as inquisitive, just like Root.
Well,
okay, he reminds me of something that the little monkey would do on Friends, remember?
I never watched Friends. I know, shun me, but I never did watch it. But I believe you.
Yes.
I believe exactly what you're telling me.
I'm no longer going to talk to you until you catch up with all like 13 seasons or something.
The wife got me into Will and Grace, so I mean, there's that. But I've never watched Friends.
Oh, come on.
But here's the good news. I'm going to be your friend with the news I have to bring you. Take a look at the Skywatch storm tracker. We're actually watching some of this isolated thunderstorm development starting to take place. Now, this is all still isolated. This is southwest of Nevada. And up here just to the east of Viola, and it will remain isolated. It's part of this bigger system, which is going to bring us more showers and storms as we go through the day. A few of them could be on the strong side, so we're talking maybe some hail and gusty winds, but nothing significant. 7th and range line temperatures are looking warm. 77 is what it's at in Joplin. Up north, it's a little cooler in the lower 70s, mid 70s for everyone else. And real quick, as we go through the day, temperatures will still rise to near 100 degrees, but by about 5 o'clock, thunderstorm chances get going for everybody, and they'll last through the night with a gusty south wind that will then switch from the east, and thunderstorm chances all night long and into tomorrow morning, with overnight lows kind of hovering around the upper 60s. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. This morning, we're discussing climate change. Year in and year out, we've seen the effects of climate change on our daily lives. Whether it's in the form of rising temperatures or extreme weather, coping with climate change has become the new normal. And yet for many people, other concerns have replaced concerns about climate change. Issues such as economic problems and social inequality have become more immediate concerns. According to one recent poll, only about 35% of adults in America report being either extremely or very concerned about the impacts of climate change. Many people, however, were motivated to greener practices such as solar panels and energy-efficient appliances if it meant saving money. So that brings us to our question to you. How concerned are you about climate change? Is it very, somewhat, or not at all? And so far, 47% of you say very, 48% of you say not at all, with 5% of you saying somewhat. Make sure you vote, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, and do so in the app. A Maryland man is coiling his way to the hearts of many residents with his artistic creations. Reed Bemore has been hanging wire sculptures he makes on traffic lights around Baltimore City. He tells Brianna Ross why he's choosing to express himself this way.
From characters like SpongeBob and Bart Simpson to positive messages, it's hard to miss these wire sculptures hanging from traffic lights around Baltimore City. The artist behind them goes by Reed Bemore. He says he wants people to recognize his art, but he does not want people to recognize his face.
I just more so want people to connect with the art instead of just seeing me as a person.
Reed Bemore says he dreamed of creating art when he was 6 years old. He started hanging his wire sculptures around the city back in 2014 as a way to connect with people during a dark time in his life.
I just didn't feel I had the connection to individuals and people in this, in the community isolating myself. So putting it up and like kind of having the decision to make public art was more so just a cry to figure out where my placement is in life and try to find connection.
He admits he never got the city's permission to hang the sculptures, but he says he does it to make people smile, and several of his sculptures have been hanging for years.
The reaction that I would want to elicit is something of positive. And when I gravitate towards pop culture and, you know, characters like that, it's more of just trying to make that jump from connecting from person to person.
And he's connected with quite a few people, over 14,000 followers on his Instagram page that shows pictures of his wire sculptures. But Reed Beemore hopes you'll see his art in person, hanging along Baltimore streets, and that it will make you smile.
Very cool. We'll be right back with Consumer Watch right after this.
In Consumer Watch this morning, 2 million baby rockers are under recall. The rockers involved are Mama Roo Swings and Rockaroo Rockers, both sold under the brand name For Moms. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is behind the recall. The issue is they have restraint straps that can hang down when not in use. Children who are able to crawl can get entangled in those straps if they crawl under the rocker. Now, one 10-month-old has died from such an incident. Another sustained bruising around his neck. Anyone who owns one of the impacted products can get a free strap fastener to keep the restraints away from crawling children. Consumer Product Safety Commission has instructions on its website to identify rockers involved in the recall. Hey parents, there's a voluntary recall of a popular kids drink. Kraft Heinz says more than 5,000 cases of Capri Sun and the wild cherry flavor are part of this recall. The company believes a diluted cleaning solution used on its food processing equipment could have contaminated the beverage. Kraft Heinz says the issue was discovered after receiving several consumer complaints about the taste. Retailers should be removing the products from stores, but if you have Capri Sun Wild Cherry in your home with the best when used by date of June 25th, 2023, don't drink it. Return it to the store where you bought it. Renters in the U.S. are facing more worries about paying for housing. Nearly 60% of people were hit with a rent increase during the past year. That's according to a study from Freddie Mac. Just 38% of those renters say they saw an increase in take-home pay. The study also found higher housing costs and inflation have altered the plans for many potential home buyers. Nearly 3/4 of renter households who were planning to buy a home say that's become more out of reach over the past year. Well, if this story isn't depressing, if you're single and looking to mingle, you might want to mingle a little faster, at least if you want to save some money. It could cost more to be single than if you're coupled up. Here are 5 reasons why. The first, you'll probably pay more for utilities than a couple who splits all those bills unless they're trading up for something bigger. The second, if you run into financial issues like losing your job or having a medical issue, you don't have anyone to fall back on. And 3, you could pay more for vacation. Again, this often comes down to not having to split costs with someone. 4, Social Security benefits are less valuable. For couples, it's more likely there are family members who may be entitled to an additional payment as a portion of their benefits. And 5, you're more likely to run short of money for retirement because single people just don't have the same opportunity to save as much as a couple. Unless your significant other likes to spend money, then it's a completely different story. Well, the U.S. Department of Labor wants to fine Dollar General over $1 million for workplace safety violations. According to the department, federal inspectors found violations at 3 Georgia stores, including blocked exit routes, dangerously stacked merchandise boxes, and hard-to-access electrical panels. The inspector said the conditions could lead to workers hurting themselves by slipping, tripping, or being struck by objects. The Labor Department has proposed fines of almost $1.3 million. Dollar General has 15 business days to respond to the department's investigation findings. This isn't the first time the discount retailer has come under fire. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration has levied more than $6.5 million in safety fines against Dollar General in 2017. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. In Texas, more proof that it takes a village.
Yeah, two brothers who lost their parents and grandparents have a roof over their heads thanks to some volunteers. Kathy Hernandez has their inspirational story.
Tears of joy, seeing the inside of their home like never before.
Love it. I'm speechless. It's way more than we asked for. Completely grateful.
The last few years have been tough for 22-year-old Jalen and his younger brother Julian. Their parents and grandfather passed away. Jalen promised his mother he would take care of Julian.
Try my best to keep him in check. Make sure he doesn't get in trouble. And make sure he's loved.
In addition, their home was severely damaged in Harvey and the freeze last year.
At one point, I was just done with the house. I was ready to sell it at one point and just didn't want to, it's too much weight on my shoulders, couldn't do it.
Katie Responds, a disaster rebuild organization, and countless volunteers stepped in to help.
There's just no way they could have lived in it and probably would have never fixed it. They'd have probably lost it.
They remodeled the entire home in 3 months. Lakewood Church furnished the home.
I want you to have a safe place to live. I want you to be able to not worry about your home for a few years. And this is what we do. It's hard work. It's not profit work, but it's why we do it, is for those guys.
Jalen and Julian are ready to start a new chapter in their lives.
It makes me so happy to see that there's good people, now that I just like the way that we've been treated. I just didn't think anything good would happen.
It was definitely a beautiful.
Katie Responds has worked on about 160 homes.
To learn more about the organization or make a donation, you can visit katieresponds.org.
What a great group.
Absolutely. We got some showers and thunderstorms making a great appearance on the Skywatch storm tracker right now. You can see we've got a few of those isolated showers and storms starting to build into some of our counties. And these are going to remain fairly isolated as we go through the morning. And we're going to see more widespread storms as this system really gets its act together a little later today and into the afternoon. Now, with those storms, there is the slight chance of some of them getting a little on the strong side. And if they do, as you can see, hail and wind are the biggest risk with these. And of course, Doug will keep an eye on those for you this evening, should any of them decide to get a little hairy. Right now, it's 77 in Joplin, feeling like 78. And you can see where the storm system is. You can see where that low pressure system is, right over southeast Kansas. And we got mid 70s if you're on this side of it, and if you're on the north side of it, we are in the lower 70s to start the day. All of us getting in on the heat action though. Temperatures will eventually reach close to 100, but by 5 o'clock, thunderstorm chances really begin to build in with a gusty south breeze. Gusty east breeze tonight, thunderstorms just locked in, and they're keeping our temperatures locked in into the upper 60s. And a look at future track, you'll see where those storms are going to start popping up around 5 o'clock. We get a few more of them around the area, and as night progresses, we just get more and more and more thunderstorms. And come tomorrow at 6 a.m., one more good batch starts in southeast Kansas, starts rolling through the area by 9 a.m., and by about noon, all of that activity is out of here, just leaving some remnant cloud cover. So if you're under the clouds, we're talking highs maybe getting into the upper 70s. Now, if you do see some peaks of the sun, you'll be a little closer to 80 degrees, but not bad for the middle of August. We got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The Justice Department wants to keep the Mar-a-Lago search warrant affidavit sealed. CBS News and other media organizations have asked a federal judge to release the document that led to the FBI operation at former President Trump's Florida home. But the DOJ says doing so would jeopardize its ongoing criminal investigation. President Biden will sign the Inflation Reduction Act into law today. The sprawling budget bill provides nearly $370 billion to fight climate change. It also establishes a minimum 15% income tax on large corporations. An incumbent, Liz Cheney, is facing a likely defeat in today's Wyoming primary. Polls show the two-term Congresswoman trailing Harriet Hageman by nearly 30%. Former President Trump has worked to oust Cheney since she voted to impeach him after the January 6th Capitol Hill riot.
Checking the forecast, some scattered storms this morning give way to more numerous storms by about 5 o'clock, and they really build in tonight. Afternoon highs pushing close to 100. Overnight tonight, storms really kick in Overnight lows topping out or bottoming out at the upper 60s for most of us. And a quick check of the future track shows where by 5 you see more numerous storms starting to develop. And as we go through the overnight, it's just cycle after cycle after cycle of showers and thunderstorms. By 6 a.m., one last batch gets going in southeast Kansas and it starts to roll on through. And it is out of here by about 11 o'clock noon. And then it leaves us with cloud cover. And those under the cloud cover, you're not even going to reach 80 degrees tomorrow afternoon. But if you do see some sun, you may peak at 80 degrees, but not bad for August.
All right, well, 3 newborn lion cubs have become the star attraction at a zoo in Gaza City. Palestinian children and adults have been dropping by to see them. The lioness gave birth to the cubs on Friday, 5 days after Israel and Palestinian militants ended a fierce round of cross-border fighting that saw thundering Israeli airstrikes and Palestinian rocket fire.
Now, zoo officials say the cubs are in excellent health, and the vet and managers of the zoo say they were relieved that the births went well, despite the deafening sound of those constant explosions during the fighting. That's our time for now. We'll see you back here at noon.